Hi everyone, this is Ginger Lester with the City of Nelson. Today we're going to go behind the scenes with Lisa Thomson, who's the WildsafeBC Community Coordinator for the City of Nelson and areas E and F. We're going to ask her some questions about how we can reduce human and wildlife contact in our community. What can we do as residents to minimize wildlife attractants around our home and in our yards? We're going to get lots of other questions answered, and we're going to find out what it takes to be a WildsafeBC coordinator. So come join us and let's go meet Lisa. So Lisa, what is WildsafeBC and what do you do here?
WildsafeBC is a non-profit organisation that's part of the BC Conservation Foundation. We're the leading organisation to help reduce human-wildlife conflict in our communities. My role here in the city is to repeat that message to help keep our wildlife wild and our communities safe through education, collaboration, and community solutions.
That's great. So one of the things I know that you do is that you put tags on bins if the bins are out the night before. So I'm just going to show the community what these tags look like. Here's a typical garbage bin and a typical recycling bin. Can you explain to everyone what these tags are and why you're doing that?
Sure. So these tags are a warning to let residents know that it is against the bylaws of the City of Nelson to put your garbage out the night before collection. And this also includes your recycling because it also is an attractant to wildlife in addition to neighborhood dogs and cats.
Okay, so that's interesting because a lot of people, from what I hear in some commenting, is that, well, I've cleaned my recycling. Why couldn't I put that out the night before?
Right, and that is a good point. A lot of us do clean out our recyclables before we put them into the bin. However, most of those recyclables have contained food at some point, and even though we've cleaned it, it still has a residual smell. And we know black bears can smell up to 1 kilometre away, and therefore it still remains an attractant because they're going to come into town, investigate what's in there, and although they're not getting a food reward, it's still making them curious to see if they can gain a food reward.
So it's a good way for us to avoid a mess in our yard, ensure that our recycling and our garbage are both secured so that wild animals cannot get into it. So for anyone who's out there wondering, you can put your garbage out the morning of. Usually they like to have it out by 7 a.m. so that crews can pick it up.
Right. We just don't want it out the night before because we don't want to invite our local wildlife into our area, into our city to help themselves through a free meal.
Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, Lisa, so the other thing that I know that you do is you hang door knockers, and I did have one of these on my door, and I was really happy to get this information to show everyone what that kind of looks like. But maybe you could elaborate a little to explain to the public why you put those knockers on our doors.
Sure, yes. The door hangers on the back, they have top 10 ways to help to reduce human-wildlife conflict in and around your home. So it's pretty helpful tips there, and it serves as a reminder for residents that may have become complacent or are new to the city or are visiting, what they can do to reduce any conflict that they might have with bears or raccoons or skunks or other wildlife like that. I do go around to the neighborhoods that may be in higher conflict areas, and if you see a yellow tag or door hanger on your door, I have a phone number on there, and I usually write down what I'd like to have a chat to you about because it's more of a conversation that needs to be had as opposed to just leaving a door hanger on.
So Lisa, can you tell me, what would I do if I see a bear in and around my yard?
Yeah, first and foremost, stop what you're doing and remain calm. And often the bears just need space. So You want to move away slowly into the safety of your own home or a vehicle, and just let that bear move along and pass through. But should the bear remain, then that's when you kind of want to scare it off and move it along. So you want to get out there and be like, hey bear, get out of here, you know, get your pots and pans banging, to encourage it to move on, because we don't want them in our neighborhoods, right? We want to be able to see them up in the wilderness and in the woods there where they belong, and where they're most happiest and they're safest from us.
And if I see a bear like walking through my yard just on their way, but I'm actually inside the house, there's no need to do anything. Is that correct?
No, just, you know, marvel on that beautiful creature from the comforts and the safety of your own home. And again, just give it space and let it move through where it needs to get to.
So Lisa, we talked about garbage, we talked about recycling. We know those are obvious attractants for wildlife. Another big topic in Nelson, a lot of yards have fruit trees similar to mine. You're kind of surrounded here. Can you tell me what I can do and what others can do to help mitigate the impact of fruit trees in particular?
Right. So fruit trees and nut trees in and around Nelson are a huge wildlife attractant, particularly for black bears. And that's because they contain a lot of sugar, they're high calories, and if you think a bear just needs to sit in a tree and not go very far and fill up its belly, and particularly around fall when we're seeing the fruit trees come in, and the black bears are actually in a hyperphagia point there, and that means that they're trying to eat as many calories as possible to put on enough weight to survive hibernation. So first and foremost, are you using these fruit trees? So if you're not, then perhaps just consider removing them and replacing them with a more native species, because fruit and nuts are a non-natural food source for black bears. And as you can see, like, there's plenty of fruit coming on here. Another option is, if you are wanting to keep that fruit, then pruning your trees every season to produce less fruit and more quality fruit as well. And other options you can do is, if you get your neighborhood in to pick the fruit, and making sure that there's no fruit falling on the ground, because then we have skunks, rats, and raccoons coming along and eating off of that fermented stuff. And then, you know, that's where the term drunk as a skunk is coined from, because the skunks do get a bit happy from eating all that fermented fruit. So to manage those is remove it if you're not using it, pruning every year so you're getting better and less fruit, or having a neighborhood program to come in and help you pick your fruit.
That's great, and that's what we're going to do this year. We always talk to all of our friends and family, and yeah, we've got a lot of plums online. So those are really great tips, Lisa. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
So we're going to end today's behind the scenes by talking a little bit about what the City of Nelson is doing to help the community reduce their wildlife attractants in their homes. And one of the things that we are doing is we're rolling out our organics waste diversion program. There's a pilot project that's happening with early adopters and Fairview residents that involves the use of a food cycler appliance. So this appliance, you put your food waste in and it turns it into a soil amendment. Now, this program will be rolling out over the next few months, and you can stay tuned and read all the information on this program at nelson.ca/organics. Our climate programs coordinator, Emily Mask, is putting together a ton of information, which is available now, so you can go and check it out and learn more about the program. So now we're going to just ask Lisa with WildsafeBC, what does WildsafeBC think about our organics diversion program, waste diversion program? Do you see any benefits in this program, and how are you collaborating with the City of Nelson?
Yeah, firstly, we were super excited that the City of Nelson invited WildSafeBC along for some consultation with the program. And we are excited about the program because it's going to provide an opportunity for residents to manage their food waste in their home in order to reduce attractants for wildlife, including rats, bears, raccoons, and skunks. And as long as our residents are following the instructions and storing it accordingly, it's definitely going to benefit the city.
So those are really good points that you made, Lisa. The one thing that we do want to bring to people's attention is that although there's lots of benefits to the soil amendment, it can go in your garden, you're reducing food waste, those are all great things, but it is still a wildlife attractant. So why is that?
So it was once food, so there's always going to be a degree of residual smell there, and we just need to treat it accordingly that it is and will remain a wildlife attractant. And it's just best to follow the instructions and the tips and guidelines that Emily Mask has made out for everyone.
Yeah, so like for example, storing it in your home. If you do have pets in the house, you want to make sure that that soil amendment is stored in an airtight container. And also, like you said, properly using it in your garden. And one other thing too, which is also on the website, and there's lots of information there, is there will be drop-off locations in the community for if you don't have a use for that soil amendment, you can take it to the drop-off location for free. I just want to say thank you, Lisa, so much for being here and WildSafe, for representing WildSafeBC. This is such good information, and I know the community is really going to benefit from hearing all this.
Great.
Yeah, so thank you. Oh, and actually, sorry, before we end, where can people go to reach you or get more information?
So for more information on WildSafeBC programs, you can jump on wildsafebc.com. For locally, I'm on Facebook and it's WildSafeBC Nelson, and I do post on local pages as well if there are information that needs to be shared immediately.
Great. That's all good to know. And yes, everyone, take care this summer and into the fall. And I think we've learned a lot about how to reduce the wildlife attractants in and around our home. And yeah, have a safe season, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.